kettling, as I understand it, maybe we can get a definition of it. And by the way, I believe that the code word that's used in here is vodka. I believe vodka refers to kettling. We could ask the,
What's kettling supposed to be, first of all? I'm lost.
well, kettling is a police tactic, but why don't you ask the police to explain what it is?
So, okay, we feel like giving us a definition of what, in circumstances, the police department would use the word
I think
kettling
probably,
as
as it relates to this, that's probably something that you should wait for the chief's final report on.
Okay, well, what's understood to mean by people in the street is that you're locked in, you're put in a kettle, you're put in a space
okay.
where you can't get out, and people talk about this a lot. You can't go south, and you can't go north, and you're being pushed one direction, and there's either officers, perhaps often of a different jurisdiction, or maybe the same one, I don't know.
in the East Coast, we call it funneling for protests.
So you're stuck, and you're extremely frustrated. There's a lot of conflict that comes up because you're like, why are you telling me to go south? There's people there telling me to go north. And so I look at that and I say, well, are these people under arrest? They're not free to go. What's the theory here? Is the theory that they want people to disperse? Well, they're not being allowed to disperse. Are these people charged with a crime, or are they suspected of a crime? Or are we trying to keep them here for some policing or public safety reason? Are all these people suspected, or is there probable cause to assume that all of them are guilty of a crime? There's just a million questions, and frankly, legal questions aside, certainly, you can't say it builds trust between the community and the police. So there's a lot of questions in there. And then you look at these things, and there's no explanation in here of why it's happening.
That's the first of the vodka.
That vodka, I've been told, is a code word, at least for that night, that means kettle. Now that would, I guess we'll have to ask the chief if that's accurate.
So, as I'm hearing correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're expressing a concern that kettling was used during these demonstrations, and that would probably be something that we're going to be as part of our report about the validity and necessity and the usage of kettling as a viable police enforcing or method. We're going to question the validity or the use of the mythology as a viable thing in this community. So that's going to be a big question we're going to put here. Is kettling advisable for the Berkeley Police Department in using when dealing with demonstrators? Right, that's a big question here, right?
It comes both out of the printed stuff and out of the video.
Okay, so we have a question whether kettling was used, and we can ask the chief what the code word vodka
Actually,
was used for.
let's ask if the PRC officer has information about this kettling.
No.
Have you ever heard of the term
Yes,
kettling?
I have.
And what was your interpretation of it, ma'am?
Consistent with
His or
containing
his?
groups of people with Commissioner Sherman's definition.
Which is the same as yours, if you call
Right.
it corralling.
In Boston,
Which is
They did that during the, some of either the Democratic or, I think, the Democratic convention in New York. I think the whole hundreds of people were corralled or kettled. I think kettling, first time I ever heard this tactic and used, and the description of it is a British expression. To me, kettling came.
Well, they use the word kettle here too. If you look on page
Which page, sir?
15.
Of the same December 6th cat.
This is at 2237.
Okay,
Hold on.
Page 15, sir, right?
Yeah.
Hold on, please.
Yeah,
Almost
just read
there.
it to
And
one.
what was the time again, sir?
2237. Got it.
2237, almost there.
It doesn't say what it is.
Where's the kettle gonna push them south?
Pulling,
2237.
and push south. So they're kettled, presumably, and then they're released.
And then continuing
Pulling
south.
tail officers, kettle and push out. There you go. Well, and so the
Something.
words was used.
So gas, here, gas, keep them moving, and they're kettling at the same time. I mean, there's just some obvious questions that we need to ask.
Okay, so, well, that's good. So we have those questions as well. So,
And pushing, so this is important to me, pushing south, this is, we're on Telegraph now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Channing Way, Says in the rear, I think it's okay, only her, Kettling, I guess, telegraph office. So they're continuing south.
So 2237, use of Kettling as a word, 1630 is skirmishes, use of tear
But
gas.
there is a video that shows this really clear too. There's a number, at least one video that I saw that people were chanting or trying to tell them, where do you want us to go? Where do you want us to go? We
Yes.
can't go, I think you saw it too, yeah, you referenced it too, you know, because they were saying very specifically, there are officers behind us telling us to go this way, and you're pushing us this way, where are we to go?